Thank you, Jehovah God, for the opportunity to speak to us. Be unto us according to your word, in Jesus' name. Now, I want us to close our eyes just for a minute and answer 3 basic questions, which ought to be answered all the time, which ought to be asked all the time, and answers found to. Why are you on earth? Why am I on earth? That is the middle. That is the middle part. And the question is, where did we come from? Did we come from somewhere? Did we come from somewhere? And where are we going after here? Where are we going after here? So there are 3 questions. Where did we come from? Ask yourself that question. The second question, why are you here? Why am I here? And the third question is, where are we going after here? Where are we going after here? Let's spend some time really understanding these questions and finding answers for them. Okay, so let's open our eyes now. So this morning, we are not here to excite ourselves. We are here to reflect over our essence for being here. So the message is entitled, Bearing Fruits Fit for Purpose. Bearing fruits fit for purpose. I'm sure we are all aware of the creation story. Genesis 1. There was chaos everywhere. The world was without form. And what happened? God spoke. And things began to what? Fall into space. Initially, there was no order. Everything was in chaos. But when God arrived in the scene, what happened? He brought order. He brought order. Everything began to fit into space. So he created the firmaments. He created virtually everything we see. And then on the 6th day, what happened? Now let's all read Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 to 31. We are going to read together because the whole message is hinged on this part of the Bible. After creating everything, is there anything that God left uncreated? Virtually everything was created. And then we were created. Before we were created, God thought about it. Said, let us create man. And then he followed it with what? The creation. Then he saw that what he created was what? Beautiful. So it came with a mind. And then action. Then enjoyment of the what? The creation. So the question I want us to ask ourselves is, obviously, the first one is answered. We came from God. Who here doesn't believe that we came from God? Now, if you don't believe it, let's know. I mean, we are in a democratic dispensation. All right. So the second question is, why are we here? And that is what we just read. God created the earth and then put us in charge. He put us in what? In charge. And you realize one thing, that the one who created, he put everything in order. Sometimes I ask myself, am I an accident for being in Ghana? for being in Cape Coast and all that. Most of the time, if only we would think beyond other limitations, you realize that where you are, God had provisions for you. God has provisions for us. So the question we are asking ourselves this morning is, what is your mandate? Why are you on earth? If the one who created the earth gave you full dominion over everything, why are you living like beggars? Why are we living like paupers? Why are we overwhelmed by the events of this earth? It is because of one thing. Oftentimes we forget that the one who put us in charge created us in his image, in his likeness. So for us to understand our mandate on this earth, it is important to know who that God is, so that we can reflect our life in his likeness. And as we do so, you realize that we have what it takes to what? Subdue the earth. We have what it takes to take dominion. If you don't know who you are, like the story of a woman who was a very faithful servant in a rich man's home. This man died, and he left the woman something. Before he died, he called her and left her something, a plug. This woman, because he loved the master, she beautifully placed it on the wall. And every day he would clean it and all that. It got to her time, she didn't even have food to eat at home. But she always go and clean it. So one day somebody came there, and the woman was begging, oh, please, I don't have food. I don't have this. Then the man chanced upon what was there. Do you know what it was? It was the will. The expanse of the man's estate was willed into the woman. But she didn't know. And because of that, she was living beggarly. And a lot of us are like that. Our lives, we are just hopping from, we are surviving. We are just living, we are just here. So that when it's time for us to go, we'll go. That's our song. So this morning, I want us to ask ourselves, do we know God? Because if we were created in his likeness and we don't know him, how do we know that we are like him? Do we know that God is eternal? He doesn't end. That means that if we pattern our lives to his, this earth is a pilgrimage. We have an eternity. And anybody who lives with eternity in view is very meticulous, is very purposeful in whatever he or she does. Our God is immutable. He doesn't change. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Who are we? Do people see integrity, trust in us? Today are we like this, and tomorrow are we like that? Hello? If we want to subdue this earth, it's important for us to have integrity. It's important for us to have stability in what we do. We will not be tossed by everything that comes our way. We will be very deliberate and in everything we do, and we will be consistent. Some of us don't care about our integrity. Some of us don't know that to take dominion, to take that mandate, it requires people trusting us. Because we will not say this today and tomorrow be another thing. Our words will have value. We will be consistent. We will not be changing with the changing weather. Our sense of morality will not be dependent on which party is in power or wherever we find ourselves. It requires us to reflect that God who is immutable, unchanging. God is merciful. God is what? Merciful. Do you agree? What does it mean to be merciful? That's to put compassion in action, isn't it? What does it mean to put compassion in action? To put love in action, isn't it? Sometimes I get involved with certain things that I feel this one, I have to suffer for it. Somewhere, somehow, by a loving, I'm pardoned. But a lot of us, people do basic petty things to us and we can't forgive them. And we have become stagnated. We can't. Our lives are not moving because we are stagnated by a word somebody said. Or somebody stepping on your toe. Or somebody not doing things the way you want it. So you cannot enjoy whatever is happening. Are we reflecting the image of God? Are we really like him? God is all-knowing. He knows everything. Do we spend time to understand processes? Do we spend time to understand how things work? Or we have become lazy, religious stooges who are always looking for signs and wonders. We don't have to have anything to do with the God behind the signs and wonders. If only we knew that God, we would not be chasing signs and wonders because we will speak and signs and wonders will follow. Are we reflecting that image? This morning, I'm not here to excite us. I'm here to help us to reorient our mind to our original mandate and start living with a dominion mandate and stop living like beggars. Have you realized that great minds create and little minds criticize or talk about what great minds have created? We have reduced ourselves to just knowing about, we don't even know ourselves. Some of us, do we know that deep down us, we are blue? But because of a word somebody said, or because of what you have seen others doing, which like is blue, red, we begin to pattern our lives consistently to appear like red. While deep down us, we are blue. Sometimes when we marry or we engage with people, sometimes we say that people have changed. Sometimes they haven't changed though. The truth is that they were not themselves originally. Because they were blue inside. But because somebody said something against the blue, they pretended to be, or they saw somebody appearing red and they were patterning their lives as red all the time. Because we don't know ourselves, we spend too much time knowing others. I wish we would get to know ourselves and be ourselves. If we are like that, we will align with people who share our what? Purpose. We will align with people who are like us. If we understand processes and we know ourselves, we will know that when we have a stream going to this direction, okay, a stream going to this direction, and you have a canoe on it, and you don't paddle, and you are going to this direction, will the canoe go or it will not go? The river or the stream is going this way, and your canoe is on it. You are going that way. Will it go or it will not go, even if you don't paddle? It will go, isn't it? But what do? Most of us are going against the tide, but we are not willing to put in the resources and the energy to go against the tide. Because for you to go against the tide, you require not just more than your natural self. You need to go beyond yourself. Most of us are not willing to go beyond ourselves, but we are getting ourselves involved with things that do not fit into our natural purpose. And we are struggling. Some of us don't know ourselves because we have been created, example, as fishes. And we are supposed to be in water. Yet we want to be like what? Birds, to fly. What do you think will happen if a fish gets out of water and gets into the air? Won't it die? So our lives, we are just struggling. People will see everything around us is so flourishing, but we can't see. Why? Because we don't know who we are. Have we not really searched or yearned for things and they came and we didn't even know? I mean, why did I spend all the time like sleepless night just trying to get this? You ask yourself that, isn't it? A day or two. I remember when I got my first degree, I was so excited. Then I got a second. Then a time came, it was just adding. Because I feel like I need to do this. And I will sacrifice everything only to get there and I realize that, so is that what this one was all about? If only I knew myself, I would be very careful with whatever I enter, and I also enjoy the processes. I will enjoy the journey. Because for all that it takes, what I need most is the journey and not the destination. And the God we serve is a team player. He says, let us. He didn't say, I am going to make man. He says, let us. Isn't it? So it tells us that if it is that kind of God that we serve, then God thinks beyond just us. He thinks about our collective good too. That car you have been praying for, that 4x4, V8, have you asked yourself what is going to help you to achieve with your essence on this earth? Most of us, it is just about what others will think about us. So a lot of us are spending so much the money we don't have to buy the things we don't like, just to please the people who don't even know we exist anyway. A lot of us are living with a mantra, let's fake it until we make it. We are all fakes. And we shouldn't be in the house of God, because in the house of God, God is there. And the people who are made in his likeness are there. So who are you to impress me? Who are you to impress me? So we'll buy a car that can take 8 people. When we close, we go alone. And everybody else will be walking. And we feel blessed because we are the one driving an 8-seater car. Are you reflecting the image of God? When the Christians were partnering their life with Christ and they're reflecting Christ, there was no lack in the midst of those in the household of faith. Why do we have so much lack in the house of God if you are reflecting God? Why? It is because it is all about us. It is all about us. So the question is, are we reflecting the image of God? And what are we doing with our mind? What do we feed our minds? See, as a scientist, I know that the things you watch, and now that you can send that one into your dreams, true or false. So if you're always watching very bad movies, people will be chasing you in your dream all the time. True or false? But if you soak yourself in the right things, you realize that your dreams will pattern along your life. For us to be fruitful. By the way, what is the fruit? I mean, what kind of fruit are we supposed to bear? Do you realize that the fruits are different for different people? Because each plant bears different fruit, true or false? So, you don't have to walk or do things like me. Because I am unique in my own sense. And so are you. But as long as you stop being you, because you don't know you, and you want to be like me, you will always be a second-class citizen. As long as you pattern your life after somebody else, you are a copycat of that person. You can never be the original. You can never. So some of us have reduced ourselves to the copycats. We have left our assignments, and we are doing the assignment of others. And we are surprised that we are struggling. We are surprised that what we have and what is around us, we should be happy, but we are not. The worst thing that can happen to any human being is to be given so much resources, but to be brain dead. to have all the resources around, but you don't have the mind to turn them around. That is the worst thing that can. In local parlance, they say, Adrena and Yejuma, we read a bad bread. And some of us, our ideas are brain because our brains are not working. We don't realize that we have the mind of God. And He thoughts. Let us make. He thoughts. And then He put it into practice. What type of things do you feed your mind with? Do you think you can be greater than your mind? As long as you put mental block on your mind, it will be almost impossible to achieve anything. So we need to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery. We need to what? For us to reflect God, we need to emancipate ourselves from what? Mental slavery. Some of us want to know God, but we don't read His word. I mean, how can you know God and who has given you a book to read so that you know me more? You don't read and you want to know that God. Is it possible? We are so much in a hurry. See, we behave as if God exists to what? Fulfill our purpose. We forget that we are on earth to fulfill God's purpose. Eradia Waldo. Sawa mama sawa ya me peya. Me kwa diponi na gu anima. Eradia wild. You should be thinking about how to align your will to His will so that you can fulfill the purpose for which He created you for. He is not, without you, He can still exist. Even if you fail to worship Him, He can, convert stones to do that. So who are you to become a man of God? Some of us, we are sad that our prayers don't get, because how do you even pray? If you don't know your purpose, how do you pray so that the things you are asking for will align with that purpose? Some of us, we are where God wanted us to be, but I want to be somewhere else. Who lied to you? See, sometimes deep down us, we are so certain that this is the path God is taking me. This is the things I do, even if I'm not paid for. This is what I'm supposed to do on earth. And then, some of the challenges. Are you sure God said that? Are you sure God said that? And because we are people who don't read our word, we don't pray, we are not sensitive to the Spirit, we begin to become rational. And sometimes, as we get rational, the original intent, we lose it. Look, some of my researches that I've done that really have made a lot of impact, it just came as a flash. It didn't make sense. I woke up, I put it down, and I started, and then as against some of the things I even thought it was going to come out, it didn't turn out the same way. So some of the things, it's just a small, still voice telling you to go to that direction. Please, don't ask yourself, because that's how the devil operates. Did God really say that? Do you know the first to him, Adam and Eve, that is how the devil got them. Did God really say that? Did God really say that? So just to challenge your belief, just to challenge who you are, so that you begin to do things you are not supposed to do. Please, we are children of God. We have been made in His image. We are supposed to reflect in His image. We are supposed to take dominion over whatever we have. Okay? There are sometimes I'm called to go and do an operation, and I'm in pajamas. I just wake up and I go and I do it. Sometimes the relatives around will be laughing at me. But everybody who is purpose-driven doesn't care about what others say. Have you realized that as you grow older, you don't really care about what others say about you again? You begin to ask yourself, what did I really do with my life? And where am I going after here? You don't care about what others. But if you are fickle-minded, you always think about, what are others saying about me? But the question is, what you are doing, is it in line with your purpose? If it's in line with your purpose, forget about what others are saying, and then keep to your focus. Because until we get to that level, at least the only continent I haven't been in this world is South America. And everywhere I go, I realized that Africa is the most blessed in terms of resources, everything of all the continents. But do you know our problem? Resources, brain dead. Yes. Even if you poo-poo and there's a seed and even fall here, it will begin to grow. And yet, we'll be here complaining. Everybody in Ghana has their brains left Ghana. They want to be abroad. That's why even from the people in government everywhere, do you hear government quoting our project in cities anymore? Did God make a mistake by putting you here? It is because you have put a mental block on yourself. And some of the mental block can be as a result of how we're raised up and our circumstances. Like it happened to Gideon. When God was calling him, you are a man of valor. You are a mighty man. Get up and go and save my people. He says, by me, I am this. I am that. I am that. Sometimes we don't achieve our divine mandate because of how we have been conditioned. We have been raised never to value anything around us. So we think we are not enough. We are not enough. We need to get out. And it requires us. We have to get to that level where we ask ourselves, when I'm coming to church and I'm dressing, what do I want people to see in me? What I have with my mind or to last after my body? If it's to last after my body, then when people are watching you, like, don't complain, because that is what your original intention was. But if you want people to engage you with the beauty of your mind, you do it accordingly, isn't it? The question we are asking ourselves is, are we allowing mental block from how we're raised up and our circumstances to limit us from achieving our purpose on this earth? That's to take mandates, okay, process it, understand how things work, okay, and produce them. And then, because for you to multiply something, you need to understand how something works, isn't it? So you need to understand processes. Christians have become full of religiosity with no God. Because, a lot of the things, you just have to even ask yourself, why are you still fornicating? Why? Why? It is because you cannot raise almost 50,000 cities to go and marry. So you have to be testing mic small, testing mic small. Isn't it? If only we knew the original purpose of marriage is for people to agree and work part. All the other things that waste unnecessary money, go and hire canopy, go and hire this, go and hire this. It will not be there. You go and marry, Sunday like this, you come, pastor prays for you, and it is sealed. Or there's a marriage at home, pastor comes there to pray. Is it not the same? But because we don't know who we are, we keep replicating things. Why in the Bible does what is happening as wedding here is reflected? Where? Who can show me in the Bible? Where wedding? According to what we are having now is. And you say it is Christian. I said, oh, you are deceiving yourself. That is not what God has said. That is religiosity. And we need to get to the level where we need to take our destiny into our own hands and tell us that I was created to what? Subdue the earth. I am not going to allow you to what? Hinder my progress. We need to have that anger that says that I can do, and it's not about the results I have. It's different from yours. Okay? I am a doctor. If you are created to be a farmer, don't say that it is only when you look down upon yourself, and that is the other second one, apart from what is placed on you, the other one. If you read Numbers chapter 13, verse 33, what happened there? The Israelites, okay, the land they were supposed to go and take, when they sent spies, some of the people said that we saw the Amalekites. They were giants. It's like the earth, like they were consumed. So many accolades. And we were like grasshoppers before them. And so did they see us. What happened? They first saw themselves as grasshoppers. And then, so if you see yourself as grasshopper, people will see you as grasshopper. If you look down upon yourself, others will just validate that one for you. So we need to stop looking at ourselves as what? Grasshoppers. So the others will also stop seeing us as what? Grasshoppers. So if you are the cleaner here, clean to reflect the image of God. If you are in everywhere you find yourself, do that with a kind of distinction that you have the testimony Daniel had. That I cannot say anything about Daniel except something about his God. True or false? But for a lot of us, we are in so much trouble, not because of our righteous living, reflecting the image of God, but because we have made the world so churchy and the church so worldly that we don't even see the difference anymore. We don't see the difference anymore. For us to subdue the earth, for us to take our mandate, we ought to reflect the image of the God we were created to look like. Jesus is our example. He was so purposeful to the end that he didn't sway from his original assignment. He has so much power. When I was younger, I asked, but Jesus Christ, why should you allow, you could have said, and everybody would die, those who came to catch him. But he knew why he was on earth. He kept that focus so that he can reconcile what? Man with God again. Are we purposeful? Have we spent time to know why we are on this earth for? Our purpose. Is it because some people are giving birth, so you also give birth? Is it because somebody has started mobile phone business, everybody, you go? It's like we behave like crabs. Do you know what crabs do? Whenever one crab in a basket begins to rise, every crab goes by the same direction and they become heavy and they fall. That is how we are. We are not using our brains. We are just copying. I'm asking you, do you know why you're on this earth? Do you know the resources you have? Do you know why you were created big? Do you know why you are created small? Do you know why you are short? Do you know why you are tall? If only you knew. Please, are we reflecting the image of God? Or we are thinking like grasshoppers, and so are we. Everything you have, if only you think through it, there is a purpose. Most of the time when God gives people assignment, he says, what do you have in your hands? What you have in your hands, if only you are willing to think like Christ did and stay focused on your original purpose. As you have spent time to know it, as you have prayed into it, and you are directed, you stay focused. And the good thing is that when Christ was living, he didn't leave us alone. He gave us the support of the Holy Spirit. If only we are willing to be spirit-controlled, we will begin to bear the fruit of the Holy Spirit. And a lot of the things around us, we'll be able to take dominion over them. The question is, where did we come from? Why are we here? And where are we going from here? That is what I'm leaving us with. And if you have not answered that question, ask yourself. We are in professions, we are in businesses that do not align with our will, with the will of God, with our purpose on earth. So we are always, you could be successful, but not satisfied. Success is how people will see you, as against the set standard that society has. But satisfaction comes from deep within, which cannot be explained by anything from outside. So the question is, are you living a purposeful life? Are you bearing the fruit that is reflective of the reason why you were created on this earth? If you are not, it's about time. It's about time. It's about time to stop struggling, suffering with your body, and let your brains work. It is about time for your brains to start working. It's about time to take dominion. It's about time to bring order wherever you are. It's about time to reflect God in everything we do. God bless us all.